thought about what's really happening inside a single human cell. If you could zoom in, you would find something extraordinary. A thread of DNA almost 2 meters long, folded inside a space smaller than a speck of dust. And what's even more amazing, every single fold has to be perfect. One wrong twist and life can't go on. Yet, it does flawlessly, billions of times a day in every one of us. DNA doesn't announce what it's doing. It doesn't ask for permissions. It just activates, quietly, consistently, turning what could it be into what is. And that made me wonder, maybe life isn't powered by certainty, it's powered by this silent activation of potential. Happy morning, I am Kanithra, a student who's in love with this hidden language of life. How our bodies adapt, repair, and evolve every single day without waiting for guarantees. Inside each of us, around 37 trillion cells are performing around billion reactions every second. But they're not just running a routine checklist. They're adjusting, adapting, and recalibrating. When a cell gets damaged, maybe due to sunlight, stress, or a stray chemical, it doesn't panic. It scans itself, finds the problem, and begins to fix it. This is known as DNA repair. Enzymes act like tiny mechanics, snipping out errors, pasting the right pieces, and sealing the strand again. Here's the inspirational part. The cell doesn't wait to be sure that it can fix it. It just starts. It attempts anyway. And life exists because of these attempts. Every evolutionary leap, from the ability to digest milk to the way we form words, began as a mutation, a mistake that dared to stay. We are not just made up of cells, we are made up of atoms. Just like our bodies renew themselves by replacing cells, discarding what's worn, and constantly rebuilding, we too must learn to let go, heal, and begin again, and embrace change to move forward. Science tells us that genes aren't rigid instructions carved in stones. They listen to the world around them. There is a whole field called epigenetics, which studies how the environment, food, stress, weather, love can turn the genes on or off. During a historical famine in Europe, scientists found something astonishing. Children born to the mothers who were starving carried tiny marks on the DNA which affected how they processed food and stress. Even decades later, their bodies remembered the struggle. Our DNA is not a silent spectator. It's a diary, constantly recording, learning, and adjusting. Even when you move to a place with thinner air, your body doesn't call the headquarters for instructions. It simply increases the red blood cell production so that you breathe better. Biology doesn't wait for certainty. It responds to challenges. When I first saw a gene expression heat map, imagine a colorful grid showing which genes are active and which are resting, I was mesmerized. It looked like a living painting. And I thought, even at this microscopic level, life doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It moves, it adapts, and it experiments. So, my question is, if a cell can do that, why can't we? Why do we humans demand so much certainty before we act? We say, I'll start when I'm ready, or I'll try when I'm sure. But biology whispers, just start, you'll adapt along the way. Think of how we live. When a student switches career after failure, that's adaptation. When a community rebuilds after flood, that's resilience, written into our collective DNA. When an artist keeps painting after rejection, that's mutation in motion, an error that evolves into brilliance. Even technology mirrors this pattern. Every invention, from vaccines to electric cars, began as a prototype that didn't quite work, just like a gene trying new combination. We often wait for everything to be perfect before taking the leap. But nature, our greatest teacher says, evolution doesn't wait for permission. It all began in my 9th grade when my social teacher asked me to prepare a topic and speak in front of the class. The moment I stood there, my mind went completely blank. The words I just prepared disappeared in seconds. My heart was racing and my hands were cold, and all I could think was, everyone's watching me. That day, I walked back to my seat embarrassed, but not broken. Somewhere deep down, I decided that this fear isn't going to control me. So I started saying yes to every chance I got: morning assemblies, class events, and even small talks. Each time, the fear shrank a little, and my confidence grew little by little. And now, standing on this stage, I realize the same moment which once silenced me actually started my journey. Sometimes fear doesn't end a story, it begins one. So yes, here's something mind-blowing. Less than 2% of our DNA actually codes for proteins, the things that builds our body. For years, scientists consider the rest as junk DNA. Imagine calling 98% of yourself junk. But later, they discovered that this so-called junk holds instructions for when and how genes activate. It's potential, but silent and waiting. And maybe that's true for us too. Most of what we are capable of lies unexpressed, not gone, just waiting for the right signal to awaken. Every repaired strand, every adapting cell, and every small mutation that dare to exist, all of them wrote us into being. So today, I'm not asking you to be ambitious or certain. I'm asking you to listen to that quiet, persistent intelligence within. Because if our DNA can change, adapt, and evolve every single day without waiting for guarantees, so can we. Life is not built on certainty. It's built on activation, silent, steady, and unstoppable. And maybe the next version of who we are as individuals, as humanity, is already waiting inside us. All we have to do is activate. We are coded by DNA, but crafted by possibility. And that's the power of possibilities. Thank you.